Ay, qué ansiedad. We're going live with a Usa tu voz bilingual, multilingual Google Hangout. It is January 31st, 2016. I'm Ron Motter of Planeta.com and talking to two good friends, cherishing and celebrating the indigenous languages of Oaxaca. So, Moisés and Brook, greetings and thank you so very much for Usa tu voz. Brook, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Ron, thanks for having us and thanks for your interest in our project. I'm Brook Lillehaugen. I'm a professor of linguistics at Haverford College, a small liberal arts college outside of Philadelphia. And I've been working on Zapotec languages for about 16 years now. So.
Beautiful. Moisés?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Moisés García. I'm a language activist in the Central Valley of Oaxaca. I have the pleasure to know Brook and you as well, Ron. Thank you very much for considering me for this live hangout to let people know about this project that we have in the Central Valley with Brook also. And also have a YouTube channel where we share some tutorials on native languages in the Central Valley of Oaxaca. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, I couldn't be happier. Well, this is a great treat. All right, break the news. What is the Usa tu voz?
Brook?
I'll start and then you jump in, Moy.
Thank you.
So let me back up a little and explain the motivation for this. So Zapotec languages, most of them are endangered, which means that there are fewer and fewer people speaking them as the years progress. But there still are young people speaking many of these languages, and so it is not inevitable that they cease to be spoken. Something can be done, things can be changed. And so that's the context in which this project exists. And what this project does is it utilizes Twitter to provide structured support to young Zapotec writers. Can you imagine writing and not knowing, is anyone going to read what I write? Like, we probably all feel like that when we're writing. But imagine even more so if you're writing in a language for which there isn't an active literary tradition, where people don't usually read and write the language. Then not only is anyone going to care what I say, but is anyone going to know how to read what I'm writing? And so with Usa tu voz, we're providing structure for young Zapotec writers by providing a readership and motivation for people to write in their language and create a literature using social media.
Thank you. And also when Brook mentioned about the project and she told me about it, she explained that it is a project that encourages people to write in their language, but not only that, because if I write and nobody understands what I'm writing, it wouldn't go that far. Now the idea is that writing and at the same time pairing people or pairing writers with another person who's going to read and usually is going to stay in touch with the writer to have explanation of what the writing means, to have contact as well on the context of the writing. But to me, it is very, very important that not only we are encouraging people to write, but at the same time we are encouraging language preservation, which is the key element in this project. You're writing, but at the same time you're also working as a language activist of your own variant of the language. We have many communities in the Central Valley of Oaxaca, and that is also enriches the project because now we have different samples of a variant in Kelana, a variant in Alvaradas, a variant in Tlacochawaya that I thank Brooke for considering me as a writer, and she also paired me with someone who is reading my texts, and also she reaches out to me and I explain the context of my writing. So that is amazing to me.
And you mentioned that is there a commitment, an agreement to do 10 tweets a week over 7 weeks?
Yeah, so we're in our pilot phase right now. And of course, we have grand visions of where this will go. But we recently started on January 21st, we started our pilot phase, which is a 7-week phase. The writers all commit to tweeting 10 times a week in their language. And the readers, which are mostly my students here in Philadelphia, but there's some other people involved as readers, commit to reading and engaging with their writers' tweets. And as Moisés said, these people are not Zapotec speakers. So how will they understand? What they do is they communicate offline, maybe via WhatsApp or Skype or Google Hangout or however they're communicating, to ask, tell me about what you wrote. And then they take it further and they translate their writers' writing into English, Spanish. In fact, I have one student translating Zapotec into Swahili, which I think is just amazing, and another one translating into French. So making these connections globally. And I want to add a little on to what Moy was saying about one of the goals too. I have heard, and maybe you can speak personally about this, Moises, I've heard people say that Zapotec isn't a real language. For example, it doesn't have a literature. And in Mexico, sometimes people will say, es un dialecto. It's something less than a language. And of course, we know there is literature in some, like in the Isthmus, but in the Valley, there is not a lot written in Zapotec.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so one thing here is also language valorization. That people can say, look, you can write Zapotec. Look at all the stuff written now in my Zapotec in the Valley. And it might even encourage someone to say, to call themselves, I'm a Zapotec writer, I'm a Zapotec poet.
Right. One of the main concerns that usually, or that we read sometimes, is that we are kind of not forcing, but we are pairing the metric of Spanish into, or Zapotec into the metric of Spanish. And at the end, right now, or at the end, we will never know exactly what the metric of a poem in Zapotec is, but the key element here is written production. Written production is the key element, because now we are saying, okay, we are using maybe that metric, but now we are writing oral traditions, beliefs, superstitions. We are creating, let's say, a database of writings, and we can show and say, okay, even though we don't have that metric, specific metrics of the language, but we are producing. And at the same time, that is the link that we have, because we are also taking advantage of platforms, social media. We have so many spaces available. Google, YouTube, Twitter, many options that we have, and we are utilizing those resources into our project. We are taking advantage of that. We have so many options, and taking advantage of this is what really matters.
Well, again, congratulations. This is a wonderful sounding project, and I like how, at the very least, it's there are two major points I like. One, not the very least, but one is the fact that you've asked these people to tweet over a certain amount of time in a certain quantity. Because I don't know about you, but I've done a lot of trainings or just helping people get onto Twitter, and if they don't tweet more than twice, they kind of give up on the experience. Right. And it's one of these things where you don't understand how wonderful it is to be in that experience until you're already in that experience. You know, it's like speaking in Zapotec, or riding a bike, or riding a bike in Zapotec. You just don't get it until you do that. And
I think that was one of, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think was one of the primary stages into getting these students to know how to use Twitter, how to tweet, how to retweet, how to quote, right, Brooke?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, the students involved, they're all students at the CETIS 124 in Tlacalula de Matamoros, Oaxaca, although none of them are from that town. They're from neighboring towns. So we have 4 young people from Quialana, a young woman from San Lucas Quivini, another one from Quiatona, and Alvaradas. So they're from towns around in the Tlacalula Valley, and none of them had tweeted before. So when we were there for the first week to set it up, not only were we seeing people tweeting for the first time, but tweeting in their language for the first time. And so for me, that was really that was really lovely. Another critique that I often hear against indigenous languages is that they serve no purpose outside of the pueblo. What good is this? It doesn't serve.
Are you
Clearly
really hearing
wrong.
this? Are you hearing
Clearly.
these things? Why are we not punching these people in the deck? Come on.
Well, let's educate them. So,
Yeah.
so Spanish and English are often pointed to as languages that have these global functions, and some smaller languages might say, well, this doesn't serve a purpose outside of the town. And so I think Twitter's a really wonderful way to use a language in a very, very public sphere, the most public sphere possible in some ways, as really as digital activism. So there's lots of layers of what's going on here. Literature creation, the use of language, but then there's digital language activism. So in fact, using language really publicly that is often critiqued as having no purpose outside of a local purpose, that there's real symbolic and real action in showing that that's not true.
I hear you, and I'm starting to hear you. The second thing I like about your approach is that you're saying, all right, master Twitter, get used to that and figure it out. And second, go off and play elsewhere, because you're pushing them off into their own spaces and say, this is natural now, use it. And I think, there can be a really good case made for that. And the fact that, it's not big, I think it's more of it's the niche of the niche, not the fringe of the fringe. So, I like that. I like the approach on all levels. Here's the question: how do non-indigenous, non-students amplify the message? What can we do who are fans of the language and fans of Oaxaca do to support this work?
Actually, Moy, as a writer, let me pass this to you. What would make you feel more supported in your writing that you're doing now?
Well, it's first the actual experience, right? It's completely different to write in your native language. That is the first step. But also having that retweeted, reposted, shared, that gets the message across. That, to me, is what matters. Okay, now we are, like Brooke said, let's not punch people, let's educate people. Okay, now we are doing an educational effort when we do that, when we explain this is what we're doing, when we explain these are the projects we're working on. Okay, we are educating. When we reshare, when we repost, when we retweet, those are educational efforts. And to me, that's what matters too, because people are knowing what we are doing. That's the first step.
Beautiful.
And I'll add something there too. Certainly, just get all the context we just gave. This is not about the number of likes. We have a bigger vision here, but not to say that people don't appreciate feeling valued. And that, imagine if you're a 16-year-old, 17-year-old person, maybe really trying to write poetry for the first time at all, maybe, and certainly in this language for the first time at all, that not to minimize, just encouragement, liking these tweets, resharing these tweets, responding to the tweets. So I think also giving the writers a reason to return to this medium and feel encouraged for the duration of this period. So I would say encouragement is not to be minimized. So if you guys are watching this and want to encourage these young writers, the hashtag is Usa tu voz, and you'll see people tweeting in Zapotec, you'll see people responding in English and Spanish and other languages, retweeting it, and just join in. You don't have to officially be one of my students, or you actually don't even have to officially be one of the writers that we're mentoring. If you want to write in your native language, and if you want to support these writers, this is intentionally a public project. So feel free to join in and follow Usa tu voz.
Is there I'd like you to both, if you can, find something to share on the screen. Can you show us some of this in action?
Yeah, I can go first, Moy, if you want.
Yes.
Okay.
And take your time. Take your time.
I have a great one picked out, but I will just need just a second. Oh, let me give you the context of this. So we had asked the students. This was on the third day of our workshop. we had asked the students to try to write poetry. And so these are some poems in Zapotec that were often people's first poems written in their language. Okay, and what I like about the one I'm going to show you especially is that we videotaped it, and so not only do you get to read what he wrote, but you get to hear him saying it in his own language. And I'm almost there, so bear with me. Okay, I'm going to screen share now, and you're going to see it.
Perfect.
Okay, am I right? You can see this young man?
We see it. Perfect.
Okay. And if I play it, will you be able to hear it? Let's try.
We're going to find out.
Okay. Did you guys hear that?
We did.
Okay. Okay. Lovely. Oh, good. Oh, good.
And when we come back and do this nice recap of the video, we can paste the link directly to that tweet or to that video.
Great. So here then you get to see Jose Angel, who wrote this poem, who performed his own poem, and then when he tweeted, you could see here that he did his own Spanish translation. Okay. And now if we go to his page, we can also see then how one of my students interacted with him, retweeting it in, oops, other things we're playing, retweeting it in English. So let me find where that is. Well, maybe it's not so easy to find. Okay, I'll find it in a minute and show you. But you saw me scrolling. Anyway, you see me scrolling through his page, and you can see the number of things that he's done. He's posted pictures with descriptions on them.
Right.
And I'll look for an engagement one in just a minute. I'll unscreen share now. Moy,
Okay.
if you have something you want to share.
Perfect. Oh, you took us down that Usa tu voz rabbit hole. Thank you.
Very good.
Is there something you have to show, Moy, or?
Actually, that will be only the link also to the YouTube page where we have the lessons run. If you can help me with the link or screenshots of where we are working with some Zaptec tutorials. We are also doing the Twitter right now, and I'm planning to start again with the tutorials on late February, where I will have more time available to start filming again. So there we have 32 lessons, and we are planning on lesson 33 by late February. So
No,
I am
now
also.
1 second. I guess we didn't figure out how for you to do the screen share, did we?
The things that I don't have the material on my computer.
Oh, right. 1 second. Let's see. Let me see if I can. Oh, ow.
You can check it on my Twitter account.
1 second. 1 second.
Okay.
The question is, do you know how to do the screen share? And don't you figure it out. Meanwhile, I'm going to disappear and I'm going to show people. Let's see. Here's Usa tu voz. Then and see, this is the minutes of the Hangout are just so exciting, but that's all right. We can come back and clip part of this later on, and I'm sorry, I'm having a difficult time as well pulling up the Binsuni. I should have done that before. But here, if we look, hey, I win. Honestly, this is one of my all-time favorite channels of anyone in the planet. It's just good listening, and chirimiteros. Who doesn't like a good chirimitero? Awesome, awesome. Oh, so if we look at this channel, if we look at videos and playlist, what should we, what do we see?
Well, it's actually a compilation of many cultural elements, language, one of them, that we have in that channel because it shares the cultural heritage of Tlacochawaya.
Right.
We have music, we have Danza de la Pluma, we have Philharmonic Band, and lately we added the Zapotec tutorials that complements all that cultural heritage that we share to the world because now social media are worldwide platforms.
Right. Do we see any other town in the Central Valleys have an online lesson plan as detailed as what we see in Tlacochawaya?
I've seen some in Teotitlán del Valle and recently San Juan de Tipac as well. They are adding, but what maybe we're lacking in those are all the elements, right? Maybe they're focusing only on music or on handicrafts. Particularly, Tlacochawaya doesn't have a handicraft. I always explain in my videos that it's a agricultural town. So now we take advantage of the other resources. If we have music, then we add music. We have a dance, we add the dances, and now we have the language. So that, let's say, we are complementing on all the areas, all the cultural areas that we can share.
I can share something that we're doing in some other towns. It doesn't compare with Moisés's extensive lessons, but we have the talking dictionaries, and I don't know if that's something that you're familiar with, Ron?
No. Make me happier.
Okay, I will screen share again. Hold on. Okay, I believe you can now see a page that says Teotitlán del Valle Talking Dictionary.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so there is a series of talking dictionaries that I've been working on as part of a Living Tongues project in collaboration with various towns. You can see here there's lots of supporters of these projects. This is the largest one. We're also working on one with Moisés for Tlacochawaya, which we can show. What's nice about this is that they're talking, so you can hear native speakers say these words while you see them written, and you have translations, and when appropriate, you have images. So let's see. Surprise me. What else? Oh, humidity. What a strange word. Okay, let me find with image gallery. So then you can also see pictures that were taken. For the most part, we try to take them in the relevant towns so that you get something. Obviously, that snake is not something we saw in Teotitlán, but here are fruits from the markets and things like this. And then,
do they have nosh? Can you look up chocolate?
I'm sure we do. How could we not? Let's see.
How could you not have chocolate?
Yes.
Oaxaca online.
There we go.
Dictionary.
Nosh.
I see we need to edit a little sound there, but you got to hear it and you got to see the beautiful chocolate. So
again, wait, slow down and go back, slow down, go back to chocolate. Let's hear it.
Yes, ready?
Nosh.
Were you able to hear it?
Oh, we heard it.
Okay.
All right, what is the link? What's the URL of this? Talkingdictionary.swarthmore?
Yep, talkingdictionary.swarthmore.edu.
Okay.
And in fact, if we go to /Zapotex with a plural, Zapotex, you can see all of the ones that are available in the valley. So we have one for San Lucas, for Tlacolula, for Tlacochawaya that we're working with Moisés, for Teotitlán del Valle. This is not in the valley. This is a southern Zapotec variety, this one here. And if you want to compare them, because as Moy was saying, in every town there's slightly different variants spoken, you can compare them and hear
Of course it's different. It's 5 kilometers away. Why would it be the same?
So this is one resource that I've been collaborating with towns and various language activists on.
Awesome.
And I have more tweets if you want to see. I found cool ones to share.
Please.
Okay. Let's see. Oops. Is this the right one?
Here's a question for both of you. If we wanted something translated from English or Spanish into the variants, is there a good way of submitting that?
How long a thing is it?
Different lengths. You know, eventually, you know, I think all of the, like the Oaxaca wiki pages should have key sections translated. And if only in the fact that you have, for example, you know, Planeta.com guide to Santa Maria Tule. It's in English. Fine. We can translate it into Spanish. Well, why not translate it into Zapotec? Or what if we were to really harness this trilingualism, multilingualism, or this, a new word I came across this week. Have you heard of ambicultural?
No, but that sounds cool.
No, I
It
haven't.
does not exactly. It's like, oh, it can work for me. But we have these opportunities now, and we may not want to translate everything like an encyclopedia or as a dictionary. Fine, but we might want to get a few campaigns or projects kind of translated. You know, for example, I don't know, or I do not know if you're associated at all with the Paisaje Lingüístico. Are you?
No, but I'm really impressed with what they've done.
You know, there's stuff that was on Twitter this week and Facebook, just incredible. The fact that they were able to put these. I mean, what didn't it have? It was Zapotec, Spanish, and QR codes for the sights to see in Santa Maria Tule, home of the famous Tule tree, or as they're calling it, Yagits. But as you and as I think all of us know, the Árbol de Tule would have what? 10 different names? 20 different names? And also, you know, what's the name in Mihe or Ayuk? It depends. It varies. So I think if we can embrace the idea that there are these multiple narratives here, multiple stories, and we're not going to come to the one deciding this is how the Árbol de Tule is translated, the King James version. But here's an entrance, and you know, some people call this tree Yagits, and because such and such and such and such. I don't know the story yet. When I asked the folks on Twitter, I said, well, you know, how did Yagits get it? How does Yagits translate it? And they said, Árbol de Tule. No, I know that, but what does it mean? And I'd love to see that as a discussion. And I think if we have talks about Oaxaca and throw in some of this indigenous and mind-blowing language, then I think we have a way of presenting Oaxaca today in a brand new way. Just arrived.
Right, and I think that is precisely the ultimate goal, right? We're giving the first baby steps. I wouldn't like to call them baby steps because it's a very advanced project already. Being on social media, it's a great achievement. Having people write short poems, short narrative, stories, it's a big achievement. And I think the ultimate goal will be exactly what you're talking about, Ron, on having different or multiple discussions about these topics and broaden the knowledge, bringing in more knowledge. A few weeks ago, I shared with Brook also that we are having now Bible translations in Zapotec, and there is a QR code that you just hover your iPhone QR code reader over it, and it automatically takes you to a website where it's completely translated in Zapotec. So I think that is also the ultimate goal of any subjects or topics we can talk about. Plants, animals, ecosystems, social events, traditions, you name it. We have an array of topics that we can cover, right?
It's that whole little universe you have there in the valley.
Right, and it's good. Good things are to come, right, Brooke?
Yes, and I think that, one reason we chose to work with high school students in this particular project is, a lot of what's going to happen moving forward is going to be from the youth, right? So to have them feel empowered and educated about their language, I think will even ideas we can't even imagine will come from them, right? As they think about how they want their language to move forward. I have here. Let me show you.
Please, please.
Before I wasn't able to show you how people are interacting, but I think I can show now. Okay. So now you're seeing, I believe you're seeing my Twitter feed, and you're seeing, in English it says, "My heart hurts," yes?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look right below that, you'll see Disha's tweet in Zapotec. My heart hurts, and it goes on. So this is his poem in Zapotec, and he's tagged it with Usatuvos. So if you're looking for tweets that are about this project, this is the hashtag to look for.
Okay.
And then I am his reader, so I retweeted it, and I didn't translate the entire thing here. I can show you another one where we do that. But in addition to translating part of it...
Wait a second. I was wondering about that with the English just being, well, 2 sentences.
Yes.
And looking at the on and on and ongoing contribution by Disha. Like, wait a second. So does anyone curate these tweets, or how do you assemble? Is anyone doing any assemblage?
Not yet. I have been, probably in a very untechnologically sophisticated way, been like copying all of them into a Word document so I can make sure I have them at the end of this. So there's probably a better way that I could do that if you could tell me, Ron.
Well, there are 2 things. Easily you can take that Word document and make it into a PDF, or upload it directly into Slideshare. That's a good archive for documents. And the second thing you could do would simply be create a Storify, and I would do them both maybe. Storify, and Storify is a site that does allow you to build your own stories and basically curate. These are still words I don't find easy to say. The best of on Twitter. If that makes any sense at all.
No. Yeah, I'll look into that. But like you said, this isn't a complete translation, because part of the job is also to contextualize it, add hashtags to connect it to other conversations. And then to get around the length issue with Twitter, one thing that we do sometimes is use images. So here in this tweet, then the Zapotec writer's entire tweet is on the left hand, the English translation on the right hand, because this wouldn't fit in Twitter, but then we could still use Twitter to publish it, to disperse it.
And so, but you made that as a graphic, you're saying?
Right, exactly, because you run out of space.
Right,
Sure.
it's mainly a tool to get over the certain amount of characters that we have. So this is a way of getting over that hurdle. And also what's important here is that we are creating a database. We are creating a database of lots of tweets, short poems. At the end, I don't know, maybe the ultimate goal would be publishing, having a magazine or pamphlet, something that at the end, with, let's say it's not a finished project, but it's the first stage of many others to come, and then we can have a compilation, a conference, something where we can share them maybe in school, because now this is an actual project that is working on the way how native speakers can take lead in preserving the language without having to wait for, let's say, a government-sponsored program, without having to wait for other alternatives to come. Now you are empowering local speakers to take a lead with their own efforts into preserving their own language. This is a language activism in excellence working, right?
Well, yay! Again, applause, applause. I want you to take a quick look. Here's my, put your tech hat on. This is Storify, and I would recommend it for you both or individually as well as for the project, but it couldn't be easier. You click New Story. Let me see if it continues to show you. I'll give you the inside tour of how this works. But we call it Usa tu voz, and we do a random search on Twitter for hashtag Usa tu voz. These things are coming up. And I'm just going to throw over a couple of these. And click here where it says Publish. This is what I would call a very, very rough first draft. You know, it's nothing that I'd, really excited about showing to folks just yet. But as you work on it, again, you're going to have a chance to add different materials from different media, including Instagram, Facebook, Flickr. I still love Flickr, and Google+, and SoundCloud, or just a link. Now, if we go check out the story, let's see if we have it. There you go. So I would, if you're just trying to find your tweets, saving them in a Word document really makes sense in terms of it's going to be there, it's secure, you have it. But this is so much more fun and so much more public.
No, absolutely. I think I'll use that next time I need to talk about this project. I won't be searching everywhere for the good examples.
And also, we always wonder about the how compatible or incompatible our programs sometimes, but having the idea that you can incorporate material from different platforms is absolutely amazing, right? It makes it way easier to share.
It's also really useful. It's also really useful when you have something of a limited time or a timely issue, and in this flood of information you're going to lose it. Excuse me. You're going to lose this information. So it may be a hashtag that erupts one day, and it's easy to save it that way. Or it may be a conference, and I'll do a little Storify section for conferences I don't actually attend. But if I can see it online, or if I can participate somehow, and usually it's going to be about rural conservation, whether that's nature or culture. Storify. What an incredible way of collecting this information, putting it in one place, like a giant scrapbook.
Right.
So I wanted to mention just one more side of this before we stop talking here. There's also a big educational experience for the students that are functioning as readers in this, right? So these are mostly, some of them are linguistic students, some of them are Latin American studies students, some of them I just met when they volunteered, so they heard about this project and they were interested in it. And they're just volunteering, but for them, they're getting to learn about a culture and a language that they otherwise might never have had a chance to meet someone who speaks that language or who is from that culture. And so I think, and it'll be interesting to see what they reflect on at the end of this, that in addition to, supporting this writer, I think that they're going to be getting benefits from this in terms of learning about Oaxaca, learning about Zapotec people, learning about a situation that's probably very different than how they grew up.
Is it still open for volunteer readers? Can
Right
people
now,
apply?
Right now, no. Like for this pilot program, we're all set. But we're hoping, like I said, we're hoping to do this again. So if you think that you'd like to commit to being a volunteer reader for the next round, send me a tweet. Can you see my Twitter on here?
Actually, we are nominating you as a volunteer for our next round.
Oh, you're not going to get a happier volunteer.
Okay, good.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to basically throw it back to you for final comments and to leave you with a suggestion that we figure out a time to do this again in the next, in the next couple of weeks, and figure out a routine of doing it, so that we can kind of just keep track of this. I think this is one of the stories of the year.
And I would suggest maybe at the end of the program also we can have one or many of the participant readers or volunteers in this conversation. That would be a great way for them to express their experience and what was the impact they have on their studies based on this project. That would be a good idea to have and make it more often, right? Something frequent at the beginning, at the middle, maybe at the end of each round, just the way we're doing it now, which I am absolutely amazed, and it's really good. It's the best way to keep spreading the word, right?
That's right. Brooke, any final comments?
I just want to thank you, Ron, for your interest and for giving us a chance to talk about what we're doing. And for the listeners, if anyone's interested in learning more or being involved, please don't hesitate to be in touch with me or with Moisés. Oh, I just volunteered you, Moisés. But really, the best, I think, the strength in this project is in its publicness. And so we'd like to include people who are interested in being involved in any way.
Beautiful. Well, I want to thank viewers. We wouldn't do this without you, and we are looking forward to your comments and your likes and your shares later on. The commercial message, of course, brought to you by Chocoluchi, chocolate worth fighting for, and tapetes, or ladi, from Oaxaca. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Ron. Thank you, Brooke.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.